Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome, Steve Hudson. Great to see you again, and welcome to the Miami World Strategic Forum.
Thanks, Jim.
You've been on camera a little bit lately. I think the last time you were on camera, you were ringing the bell at the Toronto Stock Exchange. A little bit of a recognition of your stock performance in 2020.
Yeah, it was a great event. It's nice to be acknowledged. Our employees and our teams, we were acknowledged as one of the top 30 companies in Canada. We're basically a U.S. company headquartered in Toronto, but to be in a group of peers of the 30 fastest growing companies was great.
Great, and a special recognition, a special club, an acknowledgement of the stock performance of last year. Of course, you recently sold one of your commercial finance businesses to Truist, top 10 U.S. bank. The bank M&A market very robust right now. I'd love to get your insights into what's driving the financial services M&A market as well as the general acquisition market.
Yeah, well, first of all, shout out to all my friends at Truist. Great bank, great partner. They've been with us for 2 decades. Most people know them as SunTrust and BB&T, but they're merged under Truist. The backdrop for this, Jim, is that there was $4.7 trillion of stimulus money injected into the U.S. economy. Of that, and maybe more, depending on what happens in D.C. this week or not. But at least 4.7, $2 trillion of that ended up into the bank sector, either put in deposits or debt paid down, created unprecedented liquidity in banks. At the same time, consumers weren't borrowing as much. So banks have been hungry for high quality yielding assets. We certainly, Service Finance, the business we sold, fits that bill. And you're seeing it in bank to non-bank. There was our transaction with Truist. There was Goldman Sachs acquiring a competitor to our company in Green Sky. There was Regions Bank buying Interbank. A lot of activity in banks acquiring non-banks. Also in the regional bank market, we saw M&T acquire People's United Bank. And in the large bank market, we recently saw U.S. Bank acquire Union Bank, owned by a Japanese financial institution. So a lot of activity. That $2 trillion sitting on the balance sheets of banks and credit unions. It'll take several quarters to put that to work, and you're going to see it manifested in a lot of M&A in the bank sector.
I guess that's a company that you acquired early, and now it's a growing company. It's a lot bigger. I guess the purchaser, what can they do with that now?
Yeah. Well, I think my business partner Mark Birch and his team based in Boca did a phenomenal job, and we supported the growth. But it was ready for its next leg of growth, and being in a deposit-taking institution with access to deposit money was what's going to fund the next level of growth. I believe that Service Finance will produce $4 or $5 billion of loans to consumers looking to improve their homes, and it was time.
It's an exciting transaction we'll watch. So the remarkable recovery of the economy, we've seen this. It's incredible growth. Combined at the same time with a lot of supply restrictions, right? We've seen in different segments of the economy. So this is showing us some sort of the first signs of inflation, I think, in 2 decades. What are your thoughts on this inflation, and how do you think this is going to impact the economy right now?
Yeah, it's a really tough question, Jim. We saw it. The U.S. Department of Labor published a CPI number that was up 5.3% year over year. We've had several decades of 1-2% inflation. So this level of inflation is unprecedented. It's that liquidity that I referred to a minute ago, that $4.7 trillion put into the U.S. economy with, again, more to come, maybe, that is driving this unprecedented demand. And at the same time, you're seeing ultra low interest rates. When you factor in inflation, interest rates are effectively, what they call real rates, are effectively zero or negative. So lots of cash, low interest rate to get delivered. So all driven by choke points, bottlenecks in the supply side. And it's all manifesting itself in inflation. So if you go back to the 70s, and it's something, I know the policy people are focused on it, but you have to be careful. It impacts pensioners on fixed income, and it's even manifesting itself in unprecedented increases in prices of new and used homes.
Right. And so when I think of this experience, my parents in the early 80s, they were having variable rate mortgages because they're just hoping that the variable rate would go from 19 to 18% so that they could, save that money in their mortgage. And then I look at the mortgage rates I get emailed now, it's, 1.5%, and all of a sudden the dueling panels is next 1.2. So how do you think that sort of, I guess, the housing market, I think it's got to impact this in a very dramatic way.
Yeah. My free advice would be to fix the rate on your mortgage.
Right.
Variable rates are almost at zero, but I think we will see interest rates move by 1 or 2% by early next year, and that will impact mortgage payments.
Right.
But it's my comment earlier. It's unprecedented demand for homes, ultra low rates, affordable mortgages, but not really affordable. If you look at housing prices year over year, the U.S. median home price was up 23% year over year. You need a real drop in interest rates to compensate for that. And we can't get any lower. We're at zero.
Right.
So people are starting to feel that pinch point. The affordability crisis is a real issue in both Canada and the U.S.
And I think, I guess, the affordability housing market, the market has been on a tear both sides of the border. What do you think about affordability? I think that was a big touch point of this current administration, Biden, talking about housing affordability.
Yeah, well, we're happy to be partners with both Fannie and Freddie and now FHA. So we're in the U.S. system. Our platform, Triad, focuses on manufactured homes as a solution. And it's an interesting, my little infomercial, that a traditional site-built home, what we refer to in the industry as a stick-built home, but site-built home is about $155 a square foot across the U.S. A manufactured home is $44 a square foot. So that really makes it now makes a home that's now affordable for the average U.S. consumer. I think you and I talked before coming on air a little bit about stigmatisms of manufactured homes, but that's that you have to step back and realize that 1 in 10 Americans live in a manufactured or prefab home, and in the South, it's actually 1 in 8. So it's a significant part of the U.S. Housing stock.
And so I know this summer I was at a cottage, and the cottage was a pre-manufactured home, and I was awestruck. To be honest, I was surprised on it because I think people have a certain misconception of what a pre-manufactured home is, and what it takes to sort of live in, what the experience is like. And I know for myself personally, it was a very different experience. It was a very nice, quality, well-built home.
Yeah, but some people have a stigmatism referred to earlier, which they go back to Wizard of Oz, and tornado comes along and it lifts up the mobile home and off it blows. But those homes haven't been manufactured since the 1980s. But that image of mobile home parks is still out there.
Right.
And that's that stigmatism that some people have. If you, to your point, your summer vacation, you can have a beautiful home of 2,000, 3,000 square feet, and you'd be hard pressed to say it was a manufactured home. And under HUD in the U.S., a regulator, these are built to standards the home will be useful for 40 to 50 years. It's Elon Musk is living in a manufactured home.
There you go. That's a celebrity. When Facebook and Instagram isn't down, we'll have him doing some pictures or something. That's all I'll have to do.
Yeah, just when you think about it, the home that Elon Musk lives on the SpaceX site, it's kind of a work-live solution. There really are 3 segments in this market. There's that home is referred to as a park home, which is up to 400 square feet, regulated standards in Florida up to 500 square feet. So that is a solution that's work-live. It's that home you can go to the website and something called Boxable, and you can see the home, quite attractive for that solution. Then you've got a second segment called the tiny home, which is from 500 square feet to 800 square feet. It's for a husband and wife, for a couple, it's perfect. Then you've got the segment of the traditional manufactured home from 1,000 to 3,000 feet. So the number of options to the consumer, and it's I think it's a very attractive way to purchase a home. It certainly makes a difference when you're paying $44 a square foot and not $155.
And I guess in some of the northern states and Canadian climate, it's tough to build out year round with the winters. A pre-manufactured home, I guess, is done indoors.
Yeah, it's we buy our cars that they're built in a manufacturing plant. everything that we buy as consumers is built in a manufacturing plant because we can control the quality and the deliverability. Why not our homes?
Right.
So this is the time and the place. The challenge we have now in this industry is we can't deliver because of the supply constraints you mentioned. It's now 12 months from purchasing your manufactured home to putting it on a foundation or the lot that you purchased. So it's taking time, and that'll solve itself. But that's going to take 18 to 24 months. Like many industries are experiencing bottlenecks of this nature.
Now, I covered the U.S. federal election and saw President Biden win, and saw Justin Trudeau recently win a re-election here in Canada. I don't know if you're a fan, but I would say in both elections, one of the common themes was housing affordability. And so, that idea of the U.S., the American dream of owning your own home, it sounds like this is perhaps a timely solution that more politicians should probably be embracing.
Yeah, I am a fan of Governor DeSantis, not so much. I'm a fiscal conservative, but it's time for the solution. And I think we're now working with Fannie and Freddie and FHA to drive further into the. FHA is in Canada, it's called CMHC, and the US FHA, which allows people whose credit record may not be perfect. An FHA guarantee on that loan opens up manufactured homes to a larger spectrum of consumers. So we're quite excited about that. We announced our FHA license last quarter. We'll actually be processing loans and mortgages this quarter on behalf of FHA, and that'll probably double our business over the next 2 years. It really opens the credit box, i.e. allows more consumers to purchase a manufactured home.
Right. More people in homes is a cascading effect to all different parts of the economy. Of course, COVID's created a lot of different challenges and opportunities as well for business. How has your businesses managed during the pandemic, and how do you see these meeting these sort of challenges and opportunities?
Yeah, well, the pandemic has been horrendous. Millions of people have been impacted. Families have lost loved ones. So it's unprecedented. I'm a pro-vaxxer, double vaccinated myself. All of our employees are vaccinated. It was a requirement at our businesses. We have operations in Jacksonville and Boca Raton and West Palm. What we didn't close during the pandemic, we remained open. We obviously had protocols in place, but we didn't close. And I think it's manifested itself in stronger results, Jim. That March 13th is a day I'll remember for a long time, which is when we kicked in our protocols and several other initiatives we put in place. And here we are 19 months later, almost 20, still facing this significant challenge. But our business has actually outperformed in the pandemic. I didn't think that on March 13th.
Right.
But the employees were gifted with 900 great employees, partners, and they really outperformed. I had to reach out and say thank you to all of them for their performance through this period.
And of course, you're primarily a couple of different business groups. One is home improvement. So I guess how's the pandemic, changed the home improvement industry? I mean, people are in their homes and using their air conditioner probably more than ever, right?
Yeah. Well, you had air conditioners that weren't designed to run 24/7. So you've seen an unprecedented demand for replacement air conditioners. Your husband and wife didn't like that picture window. It got replaced.
Right.
The kitchen you had to work in or live in every day needed to get upgraded. And, our home improvement dealers found a way to sell in that pandemic environment and install. So it's been, we have posted 30% growth in our home improvement business, which we've transitioned to Truist. And our manufactured housing business has boomed as well, notwithstanding the supply constraint. The credit card business, I think we'll talk about in a moment, is the whole credit card industry has had a bit of challenge because people have to spend as
right.
But that's now course corrected.
Well, you're based in Florida. What is as a U.S. resident living in Florida, and of course this is the Miami Strategic Forum. What do you think about what's your thoughts currently on Florida economy specifically?
Yeah, I do business on both sides of the border, both in Ontario and Florida. They both are pro-business and supportive of business, and many attractions to Florida notwithstanding, in addition to the sunshine. But there are no personal taxes,
right?
But it's the strong labor laws, strong, very talented labor pool. There's a reduced red tape. It's a great spot to conduct business. We've been there for a number of years. We've seen significant inflows from New York and New Jersey and other states. It's one of the challenges we have are recruiting people currently because of the demand for executives, middle management is very significant in the state. But I encourage everyone to come to Florida. It's a great spot to do business.
Now, I've seen that I was recently in New York City. Everywhere you go, there's help wanted signs everywhere. Toronto, there's help wanted signs. Everyone, restaurant industry, they need help wanted signs. Are you seeing the same thing in Florida?
Yeah, we are, and we have large call centers in Jacksonville. You know, I'm very proud that ECN is although public company is owner operated, and that 18% of the company is held by the employees. Most of our people throughout the company are shareholders. I think that has helped. We recently issued $3 million of stock to our employees to help them through the pandemic and create a further bond with the company. But it's a challenge. It's also a challenge in, not to belabor the point, but in our manufactured housing sector, you can't get carpenters and you can't get electricians and plumbers into our plants. It's been slow to restart. Many of the states, not Florida, have still continued their state unemployment benefits. A lot of people were paid to stay home, both in Canada and US. Thankfully, that's now coming to end. Everyone needs to work.
And I had read a little bit of something that Florida businesses, I think, were a little bit prepared to promote
where we go into our hurricane mode and everyone works from home, or we have our remote sites. That I didn't think we would go into an 18-month period or 19-month period, but that's been our protocol for running our business. And touch wood, this has been a relatively quiet hurricane season for Florida, and I hope it stays that way.
Right. Well, the combination of your employees taking the vaccines, you've been able to, I think, support Governor DeSantis in the way of the, I guess, a little bit more progressive in terms of keeping businesses open. But again, I guess it's that combination of also uptake of vaccines and then also a lot of testing as well. I think that's one of the things America is probably, the United States has done better than Canada is. That's so much testing. I know everywhere when I was in Times Square last week, I could get tested every 3 blocks.
Yeah, in our head office in West Beach, Monday morning testing is mandated, just on the way of operating. Testing protocols, getting the vaccine. And, we're now into flu season, so everyone had a flu shot. It's this is going to be with us for a long time.
So we've talked a little bit about 2 of the 3 businesses. Of course, Kessler is your credit card business. I guess perhaps that was maybe something when you look back to last March was like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen here? And I think you've probably seen some different trends than probably what you expected.
Yeah, Jim, I would say that credit card industry has had about $1 trillion of outstanding receivables, give or take 5% over a period of years. In the pandemic, we saw that decline to $800 billion, the first decline we've seen over 2 decades, and that should have expected it because consumers were spending less. They weren't going to restaurants, they weren't taking trips. That has started to recover. It's also came down because consumers got checks and they applied the checks against their credit cards or loans or put it into bank deposits. So the combination of reduced spend, more money coming into the system, saw balances go from trillion down to 800 billion. We've now seen a recovery come back. And then, at the same time, we've seen this not new, but supposedly new buy now, pay later.
Right. Oh, and so buy now, pay later. I mean, I think I've been on Amazon before, and there's a few things I'm looking to buy, and it's like, click on this button, and you can buy it today, and you don't have to pay anything. What do you make of that?
Well, I've been around for a few decades, but this is the old layaway.
Right.
In fact, Walmart just announced they've terminated their layaway program and put in place a program with Affirm. Affirm has been a successful buy now, pay later provider. Just did a partnership with Amazon. But think of it as installment-based credit. But what they've done with technology is made it easy to process the credit at the cash register or online or wherever you're purchasing. And the rates are more attractive. provided you pay back your loan on time, but the rates are more attractive than credit cards. Credit cards are revolving debt, and buy now, pay later is installment-based payments. So it's been around in layaway and other forms for a number of decades. What's disrupted or changed the sector here has been this ability to adjudicate credit, provide a loan instantaneously at online or at the cash register. So I think it has a lot of traction. Number of players in the sector, but I don't think it's going to displace credit cards.
No.
I think we're going to see credit cards come back from their 800 billion track back up to $1 trillion. There's a convenience factor just having a credit card as opposed to having to take 30 seconds or a couple of minutes and process credit for your new Peloton. They're two different payment vehicles.
And so what do you see as the opportunities or the excitement on the horizon for the credit card business? I mean, for Kessler and sort of what do you see moving forward for Kessler?
Yeah, Kessler is well positioned. It was formed by Howard Kessler, iconic in the credit card business. He created over 4,000 co-op credit cards. In your wallet, you'll have a credit card, or you'll have a Costco credit card. We're the Costco people.
Right.
So they're so-called affinity credit cards. You would have one with American Airlines or Air Canada. That would be one of our programs. So we're in the hub of all the co-op credit card transactions. We're involved in a number. We were involved in the Walmart transitioning from Synchrony Bank to Cap One last. We just completed the transaction where CIBC in Canada acquired the Costco credit card business. Very successful, quite exciting for CIBC. So we think there's a lot of spend.
It's exciting. So this is, I guess, the last question, and sort of looking at the consumer and pandemic. Maybe just take us back in time a little bit to last spring. I think you looked with your partners perhaps and said, look, we're facing the biggest threat to the business in 100 years.
Right.
And I guess take us through what you thought was going to happen and what you did with your partners and what actually happened in terms of things like loan deferrals.
Well, on March 13th, Friday the 13th, it was gloomy because we saw consumer shut down. You saw the stock market had suffered significant losses. Banks and credit started to contract, and it felt like 2008, but literally occurred within a matter of weeks, not a matter of months. And the good thing about 2008, the great credit crisis, if there is a good thing about it, is we learned how to react to a crisis, a credit crisis of this magnitude. So the quick action by the U.S. Fed and others in Canada, Department of Finance and other players, that action, which was unprecedented, spending is at levels that would be over the levels of World War II. That quick action, significant capital, I think, preempted a disaster. You can debate about maybe 4.7 trillion was too much, but and we'll need to pay for it.
Right.
So increased taxes, but it was required, and it was quick. So March wasn't a lot of fun. April was not much fun, but come May, it recovered very quickly. So that the government officials and the policy teams, hats off to them because they came through in spades.
Well, you're a U.S.-based business, publicly traded in Canada, and yourself located in U.S. So I think you offer a unique lens into the U.S. consumer, as you can invest in Canada and get that U.S. investment. So it's a unique perspective, and we appreciate you having being a part of the forum today and speaking with us and sharing your thoughts. So we'll send it back to Central Station. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Jim.